There are four major groups of trout stream insects that hatch in or near the water. You don't need to be able to identify them that closely. Entomology has scared more people away from fly fishing than anything except knots. But it does help to identify the insects into their broad groups or orders, because each one has a different life cycle, and trout don't always respond to every stage of their life. The most important trout stream insects are mayflies, caddisflies, stoneflies, and midges. You can get into more detail on these insects if you want, and it can help because hatches change with the season, and it doesn't hurt to know about each one. But for basic knowledge, just being able to tell the difference between these is important. In most rivers, mayflies are the most important trout stream insect. They live as larvae for almost a full year underwater and then rise to the surface to hatch into what we call a dun or a subadult. These flies then fly into nearby trees, molt, and turn into the full adult called a spinner in a day or two, which then return to the water and lay their eggs. Trout eat the nymphs or larvae throughout the season, but they only have access to the adults when they rise to the surface, when they flutter around the water after they first hatch, and then when they return to the river to lay eggs, because the adults then fall to the water and die. But when the flies hatch or return to lay eggs, they're concentrated in vast numbers at once, and trout take advantage of the insects and feed with abandon. In fact, trout often lose their normal caution at the height of a hatch and can be approached more easily, which is another reason we love hatches. So mayfly spinners are the final egg-laying form of the mayfly, and they hover over the riffles. They do this mating dance, and they kind of bounce up and down, and you'll see them hit the water occasionally. Eventually, they're all going to fall to the water, and trout love them. So, if you see these spinners over the water, you want to try to grab one to see about what size and what color they are, because it's hard to tell when they're in the air just exactly what color and size they are. So just take your hat and swipe at them, grab one like I did here, and now, later on, if the spinners fall to the water, I know what fly to put on. He's chomping. Ah, that's more like it. Get out of that moss, get out of that moss. So we have had a lot of trouble catching these fish. They got really, really snotty. And what I did was I went to a longer tippet and a smaller fly. And sometimes that'll do the trick for you. I'm trying to use side pressure here to lead the fish both ways. I hate having a fish that's straight downstream from me because the fly pulls out more easily there. So it's a little tough at this angle to keep side pressure. I'm going to have to eventually bring them straight up to get them close to the boat. But if I get them up here, then I can side pressure them right into the net. So he's ready, so I'm just gonna slide him in, and Addie's hopefully, yeah, gonna net him. Thank you, Addie. Thank you for the great boat positioning. Fishing during a hatch from a boat, the positioning of the boat is absolutely critical. And it's not like you're waiting, you can move around. You have to put the boat in the right place and stay there. And Addie just slid that boat in beautifully, right in range, enabled us to get a good presentation of the fish. Hi, I'm Tom Rosenbauer. For videos like the one you just saw and more, subscribe to our channel. You don't want to miss our weekly uploads of educational videos, exciting trips, and much more.